show on the map which these four countries are. Clarissa, who could receive the dictator Nicolas Maduro, starting with Russia, a major ally of the Chavista regime. In fact, Russia has sold a lot of weapons to Venezuela in recent years. He is very close to the Maduro regime, both ideologically and personally. It's important for us to say the following. Any country that receives Nicolas Maduro will take on a certain burden because it will face international pressure.
Nicolas Maduro is facing a race against time. The deadline given by Donald Trump for the dictator to leave Venezuela without retaliation has already expired, and European sources claim that Russia has begun preparations to receive the Chavista leader in safe territory. The operation would be conducted with the same secrecy that ensured the protection of Bashar al-Assad, exiled in Moscow after the fall of his regime in Syria. Maduro's escape, if confirmed, would follow a pattern of maximum confidentiality, as Russian forces would have already been mobilized to ensure that his location remained secret, preventing any attempt at capture. But Maduro's fate is still uncertain, and even Brazil emerges as a possible destination, considering that the current Brazilian president usually grants asylum to criminals. In this video, we will analyze the countries willing to grant asylum to Nicolas Maduro and how the Trump administration is preparing for military action in case Maduro decides not to flee. And to see what the Americans are capable of, welcome to life in the barracks. Vladimir Putin once again demonstrates his commitment to protecting strategic allies, even in the face of international pressure. Russia is seen as the most solid alternative. For Maduro, Moscow has been one of the main supporters of Chavismo, providing military and economic support during critical moments. The Kremlin could offer political asylum and security, guaranteeing the Chavista dictator a refuge far from the sanctions imposed by the West and from international investigations. Turkey also appears as another possibility. Recep Tayyip Erdogan has a close relationship with Maduro and has repeatedly opposed American foreign policy. In this case, the Turkish government could use the presence of the Venezuelan dictator as a way to challenge Washington, offering shelter without direct commitments to the International Criminal Court. Iran is also a strategic option. Tehran and Caracas share a confrontational stance toward the United States and could turn Maduro's escape into a symbol of resistance against American influence in Latin America. Iran could offer logistical and financial support, strengthening ties between the two internationally sanctioned countries. Cuba, in turn, would be the most natural destination for Maduro. Havana has been a key ideological pillar for Venezuela since Hugo Chávez's era. Maduro's arrival would further strengthen this partnership, keeping alive the anti-imperialist rhetoric that has united the two countries for decades. Cuba lacks the military strength needed to truly protect the dictator. But in this chaotic scenario, what is strange is the possibility of Maduro trying to flee to Brazil.
How many years must you hear that Maduro pays the man?
Could he? I know.
The friendship and historical alignment between the current Brazilian president and Chavismo could open the door for an asylum request, but that option would be risky, since Brazil is a signatory to the Rome Statute, and it would have the legal obligation to arrest Maduro if the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant. China, despite its close relationship and billion-dollar investments in Venezuela, is not on that list. Beijing avoids getting directly involved in sheltering leaders accused of crimes against humanity. It seeks to maintain influence through economic and diplomatic deals, avoiding direct confrontations with the West. The United States has already closed Venezuela's airspace and issued a warning asking its citizens to leave the country immediately. This measure indicates military action could occur at any time if Maduro doesn't flee the country. According to the New York Times, Maduro reportedly spoke on the phone with Donald Trump and made several demands in order to leave Venezuela. Among them were full legal amnesty for himself and his family, the end of international sanctions, and the closure of the case at the International Criminal Court. Maduro reportedly asked his vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, to assume leadership of Venezuela until new elections could be held. All the demands were denied by the United States, which gave the dictator until the end of November to leave the country. However, the deadline expired without Maduro complying with the warning. This is raising expectations of stronger military action from the Southern Command. Many believe that elite American forces, such as Delta Force and the Marine Raiders, could be deployed to capture Maduro in a commando operation. Few believe there will be a massive bombing, since the possibility of civilian casualties would be very high. The most likely strategy is a surgical capture operation to avoid collateral damage. International pressure is rising and Chavismo is growing weaker. Each day, the regime nears collapse and Maduro's escape becomes more likely. Russia is preparing to receive him, but the dictator's fate remains uncertain. Cuba, Iran, and Turkey remain viable options, and even Brazil appears as a possibility, despite the legal and political risks. The case of Nadine Heredia, former First Lady of Peru, convicted of corruption and granted asylum in Brazil, shows that the current president of Brazil has already opened doors to convicted criminals. This fuels speculation that the current Brazilian government could accept Maduro as a political exile. If this happens, Brazil would have to bear the costs of maintaining the dictator, something that would certainly generate outrage among the population. The future of Venezuela is at stake, and Maduro's escape could mark the end of a sad era. In addition, it could open the way for new legitimate disputes in Latin America. Leave your comments below if you believe that the current president of Brazil would have the courage and boldness to receive the Chavista dictator as a political asylum seeker. Here at Vida No Cuartel, you stay up to date with everything happening in the military world. Leave your like, subscribe, and watch one of the videos appearing on your screen. Forward combatants, until next time.